Okay, we're just going to do a teardown of the newer GHD Gold model. The actual model number on the label is S7N261. This had been regarded as non-repairable until recently. We've now seen a few of these and have determined that there's a fair few faults that can actually be repaired, and we are now offering a repair service on our website for this particular model. The mains cable is available as a spare, and I've done a different video showing you how easy it is to repair, but we're just going to do a full strip down for customers, probably really intended at those who are highly competent with electronics and some of my engineer colleagues. So to take these apart, it's slightly different to the older models. We have hinge covers as normal. Just use a flat spudger to undo those. You'll be shocked to then see a plastic pivot pin. These were famously used in all of the fake GHDs that we've seen over the years, but these are not fake. They, to my knowledge, have not been faked yet. And again, you've got a smaller than normal screw, but perfectly normal for this particular model. This has been done for cost purposes, much cheaper to produce plastic. Hold that pin in place and undo the screw. Lift the screw out with a screwdriver. In fact, I've just squeezed these and that pivot pin has just fallen out. If it doesn't fall out, just pop a screwdriver through. Okay, at this point you can remove the nylon bush and the metal spring tensioner. That is there and there. That is completely redesigned, but similar principle to the other one, and the nylon bush is pretty much the same as with the previous models. Now at this point you'll be looking for screws to get these apart, and you won't find any because these arms have been redesigned and they have a clip-on cover on both sides. And how you get that off is if you take that spudger, you will find there's a little gap in the mouldings just at the tips here that you can get into, and you will just get into that plastic there and just gently run this down, put a bit of pressure on there, and you will find that this unclips all the way, and you can remove that. At this point we would do the other side if we were stripping these down fully. Customers who are just changing the mains cable only need to remove the cover on the cable side here. Now you will find some screws here, two there, little black one at the end, and this side has two and two that hold the cable clamp in. So the cable clamp in place. I'm going to remove the cable just to make this easier to work on. So we remove these two screws and lift off that cable cover, lift up the socket, pull the switch out. I'm just going to sit that to one side. I'm actually going to be stripping these for spares anyway, so I thought we would do this teardown video as part of that process. These have been repaired and are fully working. So at this point we're going to remove the two screws here. This holds the cover on the other side. In this case it is the switch cover. Just lift up and away. You'll find that piece of plastic falls off. I'm just going to put it back in place for the moment so you can see where it comes from. If I can get it in there. Yeah, there we go. That is a look at the inside. We've got a silicone rubber piece there, and that white plastic literally holds the cables down. And if you lift that off, you'll see a black piece of plastic that it goes over. Okay, so that is that. I'm going to lift out the plastic. You will find that there are no screw terminals. The wires are all bare and pushed into these grips. I find them slightly unreliable, but you can actually solder them in place if you were that way inclined. and that has been used extensively for the heater connections and all of the PCB connections. The PCB again is not screwed in place. There are 3 plastic tabs that have been pushed through the slots in the PCB, and you just need to lever that up and with a fingernail just bend the plastic back, and you will find that that lifts off. That is how that comes out. See the bend in the socket wire? That actually goes around that piece of plastic just there. Okay. So at this point, if you wanted to, you can just pull the wires out here. I've left a piece of silicone in the arm. It uses the same silicone pieces that older Mark V versions use, and just for demo purposes we are going to pull on these cables and remove the element ceramic plate. So we have inline thermal fuse is inside there. On the old designs this would be the thermal fuse here, but these are actually the heater wires, and the thermal fuse is in line with that inside. And then we have thermistor wires on the inside. Now you might think that these metal spring clips are designed to easily come off, but they really are a bit tricky. You need to get a flat bladed screwdriver, and you need to press in and down and out at the same time, and you will get these apart, but it is a bit tricky, and I certainly wouldn't want to do it more than once or twice in the lifetime of these hair straighteners. So on to the other side. Obviously as we do more of these we may find an easier way of getting those spring clips off. I'll have to have a think about it, but so far it's just been levering it off. Okay, so the other side is now released, and you can lift that cover up. This side we have just the black silicone this time, and I think I said on a different video that they are different sizes. So yeah, the switch side rubber piece is quite a lot bigger than the non-switch side. Same arrangement, same way it sits in there. There's the curved bit of plastic here like there is at the other end, and you will see the moulding of the silicone is curved, so it's quite obvious where that sits, and that is just to stop anything, dampness getting in this way. So same story, we have 3 clips. If you gently pull up on this side, and then the other clips have released, and you are out and done. Again, rubber pieces there, silicone rubber pieces there. Now I suspect I soldered, yeah I did. From one of my other videos from my colleagues, I was just discussing the cables that pull out rather too easily for my liking, and I was discussing whether we could actually solder these terminals, and yeah, you actually can. So to get this one out, I am going to just have to fire up the soldering iron quickly and melt that. So yeah, it's exactly the same arrangement. Both of these are the same, unlike the older GHDs that would have a thermistor and on one side and then a thermal fuse on this side. These are both controlled and protected individually by their own thermistor and thermal fuse. So if we just melt that solder, we should just be able to pull this straight back out again. There we go. But as I say, you can solder these terminals if you feel that that is necessary, and I really don't like those terminals at all. They are used absolutely everywhere, and it's very easy to find a wire just hanging loose if you've accidentally tugged it. To get them back in, you have to make sure the bare wire is pushed in and all the way up to the end there. Only then will the little spring plate grip the cable when you pull it backwards. Not sure of the reliability currently on the PCB. I suspect it is reasonable. Not sure that any of this is replaceable. It's PIC processor PIC controlled. There's a number of chips on here, so I suspect it's going to be quite reliable, but time will tell. And that's it. That is a complete strip down of the GHD Gold. As I say, we are offering a repair service, but if you're an engineer, we probably will put some spares from used irons onto our website to assist the engineers. Probably not ideal for your average customer to try any work on these, just because of all the pitfalls that you've got with the cables falling out. You're not going to have a reference if these cables fall out. If a couple fall out, you're not going to know which way round they go, and that could be awkward. So actually, if you are working on one of these, it might be a good idea just to take a photo or three of the actual wire connections. In fact, I may do that as a reference on our website to assist anyone repairing these in the future. So yeah, that's it. I'm not going to tear apart these. I've done that on one of my engineer only videos. Don't think it's a good idea for customers to get into this. They are easily damaged. Once you've taken these metal clips off, you will find they are probably slightly bent. You're going to have to re-tension them before you put them on. You can see, if you look closely, that I've bent slightly getting them apart. And when you have these off, this plastic mount does not just lift off. You then have the little plastic tab each side of the mount that is clipped in place, and you have to slide the whole mount off halfway down and then lift it up as the tabs are clear of the metal plate. You can reassemble it by clicking it over like in the older design, but it won't click into place unless the ceramic plate is in exactly the correct place. And the reason that ceramic plate has to be in the correct place is because the thermal fuse is inside here, and it has two spring contacts either end. The element has two contact patches that must align with the thermal fuse contacts. So if that was in the wrong place, that wouldn't align, and they would of course be dead on this side. So yeah, there is a bit of the plastic moulding here that touches the end of the ceramic plate, and it will only click into place when the ceramic plate is in that correct location. And then you can click the plastic back on and attempt to refit the spring clips, but it's a bit of a faff, and as I say, not for everybody. So there we go, a little teardown of the S7N261 GHD Gold.